Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into this hilarious and exciting manga that has quickly captured everyone's attention. If you're into fun stories, great characters, and unexpected twists, you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future updates. And remember, if you're enjoying this content, share your thoughts in the comments below. It really helps us out. In the school hallway, the protagonist, holding his phone, is stunned to see that a popular influencer liked his reply. This small event draws attention from his classmates and visibly unsettles him. As people around make remarks about the influencer's popularity, he processes how much this moment means to him. Deep down, he tries to stay cool but is clearly overwhelmed. Things take an awkward turn when, amidst the commotion, an embarrassing situation occurs. As the mentioned girl climbs the stairs, her underwear is unintentionally revealed. The protagonist, shocked, tries to defend himself, but no one listens. The other students erupt in chaos, shouting and teasing him for looking too much. He stands there, confused and mortified. As the influencer walks on, it becomes clear she's a standout both online and in real life. Her impeccable appearance and commanding presence naturally draw attention. The protagonist can't help but watch her and think about how her online persona matches her aura in reality. Even without interacting, he seems captivated by her. The scene shifts to the influencer's social media profile, where her posts gather thousands of likes and comments. She shares sensual content that attracts obsessed fans, who leave over-the-top, passionate replies. Her charisma and confidence shine through, amplifying her popularity with every post. Back to the protagonist, who reflects further on the influencer. To him, she's not just a social media star, but someone who seems amazing in real life too. He admires how she maintains such a close bond with her fans, responding to comments and appearing genuine. This warmth and connection, in his eyes, are what make her truly special. The scene begins in a classroom where the teacher wraps up the day's lesson. The protagonist sits quietly in the back, disconnected from the chatter of his classmates. As everyone packs up and leaves, he watches the room, thinking to himself that it's just another ordinary and peaceful day. As the students exit, he reflects on his isolated routine. With no real relationships or connections, he lives a quiet, uneventful life. The room empties quickly, leaving behind the usual silence that marks his solitary days. Suddenly, someone taps him on the shoulder and hands him something. It's a school assignment, and the protagonist turns around, visibly surprised. Someone actually called his name, breaking the monotony of his usual routine. His surprise grows when he sees that it's Mitsuha, a popular and well-liked classmate. She thanks him with a bright, cheerful smile, calling him by his name. His eyes widen in shock as he freezes, trying to process the unexpected interaction. As Mitsuha walks away, he watches her, still stunned but a little happy. The simple fact that she remembered his name brings him a small sense of joy. Meanwhile, Mitsuha continues her day, casually handing out the next assignment to another classmate, unaware of the impression she left behind. During class, Mitsuha strikes up a casual conversation with the protagonist. As she cheerfully grabs his attention, he reflects on how she seems to live in a completely different world, full of brightness and attention. The focus shifts to her notebook, revealing chaotic doodles and disorganized notes, making him realize she's actually terrible at this. Shortly after, Mitsuha gets up and rushes off, bumping him slightly on her way out. He's left bewildered, while their classmates watch with amused expressions. Someone teases him about being distracted again, and though he tries to ignore it, Mitsuha has a knack for making things lively and chaotic. Back in the classroom, his friends start teasing him more, joking that he might be falling in love. He denies it immediately, flustered. Mitsuha laughs along, clearly enjoying the situation. Someone jokes about him being bad at both math and romance, drawing more laughter from the group. Frustrated, he glares at them, tired of being the center of attention. Things escalate when a classmate brings up something that was posted online the day before. The protagonist freezes, remembering the embarrassing incident involving Mitsuha. Everyone starts laughing and looking at him, turning his embarrassment up a notch. Unable to escape, he just sits there, mortified. Mitsuha, however, diffuses the situation with a surprising comment. She states casually that she has no interest in romance or these kinds of topics. Her serious tone stuns everyone, leaving the protagonist uncomfortable and unsure if she's unusually mature or just plain indifferent. The room quiets down as Mitsuha nonchalantly resumes eating, unfazed. While watching Mitsuha from a distance, the protagonist is surprised to realize how different she is from what he imagined. She doesn't seem interested in romance or typical normal things. He learns she plays video games and watches anime, which clashes with the perfect, popular image she portrays. It makes him wonder, she plays games? She watches anime? Suddenly, her world feels a little closer to his. The protagonist begins to entertain an impossible thought. Maybe even an outcast like him could have a chance with Mitsuha. He immediately scolds himself for thinking something so ridiculous. Meanwhile, Mitsuha, unaware of his internal panic, continues smiling and chatting. His friends notice his odd behavior and take the chance to tease him mercilessly. He grows visibly flustered but tries to play it cool. The protagonist spirals into paranoia. He fears that if anyone finds out he's starting to like Mitsuha, his peaceful high school life will be ruined. He imagines everyone thinking he's just another hopeless guy pining after her. As he silently panics, Mitsuha, sitting calmly on the other side of the room, seems completely carefree, focused on something trivial. The protagonist completely loses it when he realizes Mitsuha is looking directly at him while casually chewing her food. His thoughts spiral out of control, and he lets out a loud, exaggerated scream. Her calm and serene expression contrasts hilariously with his panic. Mitsuha, confused, only mutters a soft, "Huh," while the whole class turns to stare at his outburst. He slips into emotional chaos, feeling his heart pound faster than ever. The protagonist can't believe how much Mitsuha affects him. Meanwhile, she carries on, laughing and chatting with her friends as if nothing happened. Still in shock, he begins to wonder if getting closer to her might not be such a bad thing after all. The thought of being near her lingers, even if it risks his peaceful existence. The story flashes back to Narumi's childhood. He remembers playing house with Minami-chan, an energetic and sweet little girl. As she pretended to serve him breakfast, Narumi looked at her with a shy, awkward smile. Even as a kid, this innocent moment stirred emotions he didn't fully understand. It was a small yet significant memory. The flashback continues with Narumi nervously thanking Minami-chan. However, his awkward and teary smile scared her, causing her to run off crying. Narumi reflects on how even as a child, he struggled to express himself properly. That memory of innocence and embarrassment lingers, marking the start of his emotional barriers. As the memory continues, Narumi recalls how the other kids teased him for making Minami cry. From that moment on, he decided to avoid showing his emotions to others. This choice led him to become the quiet, reserved person he is in the present day. Back in the present, Narumi silently watches Mitsuha and reflects on his life. He wonders if it's still possible to change, to connect with people, and escape the loneliness he's built for himself. While the class chatters in the background, Narumi feels stuck between his childhood nostalgia and his current emptiness. Still, the thought of change lingers in his mind. The scene shifts to Narumi staring at a post from Ifa, an influencer he idolizes online. To him, Ifa symbolizes perfection and comfort, someone who heals any wound through her posts. She's far away, yet her presence online offers him a temporary escape from his struggles. As a new post from Ifa appears, a faint smile crosses his face, hinting at a fleeting moment of peace amidst his internal chaos. The protagonist is lost in thought while climbing the stairs, reflecting on his repetitive, boring life. Suddenly, Mitsuha rushes past him, full of energy and drawing everyone's attention, including his. As she stumbles slightly, time seems to slow down. Narumi looks up at the worst possible moment, setting up yet another embarrassing accident. Things escalate as Mitsuha trips and lands right on top of Narumi. The scene is both comical and awkward, with Narumi frozen in place, overwhelmed with embarrassment. Their classmates burst into laughter, turning the moment into a public spectacle. Mitsuha, flustered, tries to get back up while Narumi wishes the ground would swallow him whole. As Narumi processes the chaos, he looks at Mitsuha and, for a split second, sees something magical in her. A star? That beauty mark. His thoughts spiral into ridiculous territory. Mitsuha, meanwhile, looks back at him, confused and slightly concerned, asking, "Huh?" Still sitting on the ground, Mitsuha tries to make sense of what happened. She glares at Narumi, baffled by the absurdity of the situation. Narumi, too embarrassed to speak, sits there like a statue. Mitsuha, now irritated, mutters, "How did this even happen?" The next morning, Mitsuha narrates her life. She describes herself as a normal girl who everyone else sees as perfect, but on the inside, she struggles with the pressure of popularity. As she wakes up and checks her phone, the day begins with messages and attention already waiting for her. She reflects on how exhausting it is to maintain this image while hiding her true self. Mitsuha is shown at home, relaxed and comfortable. Sitting casually in her robe, she snaps photos to post online. With a confident smile and carefully planned pose, she captures the perfect shot. For her, it's almost like a daily ritual, sharing slightly sensual photos with her followers. As the camera clicks, she keeps a playful yet professional demeanor. The perspective shifts to Mitsuha scrolling through her posts on her phone. She reflects on how it all started, just as a fan of other influencers. But the attention and likes drew her in, and now she's committed to maintaining this online image. The screen shows countless comments and praises, which momentarily fill her with satisfaction. Lying on her bed, she feels connected to a seemingly perfect world. With a gentle smile and sparkling eyes, Mitsuha admits to herself how much this secret life makes her feel good. "Nobody knows this side of me." To her, this online persona is an escape, a way to express herself freely without the burden of daily expectations. Holding her phone, she thinks about the thrill of keeping this exciting secret, something that's just for her. The next morning at school, Mitsuha is startled when her energetic friend Mocha suddenly hugs her from behind, snapping her out of her thoughts. Mitsuha nearly drops her phone in surprise. Mocha playfully teases her, calling her distracted and an easy target for pranks. Mitsuha tries to defend herself, but Mocha's energy is impossible to match. As Mitsuha and Mocha walk through the hallway, Mocha continues teasing, telling Mitsuha she should open up more. Embarrassed, Mitsuha changes the subject. Across the room, the protagonist observes their interaction, intrigued by Mitsuha's closeness with her friend. He notices that, despite her popularity, Mitsuha seems to carry something she doesn't show to others. The scene ends with Mitsuha receiving more notifications, pulling her back into her other world online. Narumi finds himself in another awkward interaction with Mitsuha and some classmates. Mitsuha, with her usual bluntness, points out that he has no reaction whatsoever, joking that he left his expressions in the womb. Narumi stays quiet, his chaotic thoughts clashing with his deadpan expression. The group keeps teasing Narumi, playfully suggesting he might finally be in love, which he firmly denies. Annoyed by the conversation, Mitsuha declares with surprising seriousness that she has no interest in romance at all. Her blunt response catches everyone off guard, creating a mix of laughter and awkwardness, while Narumi remains stuck as the unintentional center of attention. Narumi reflects silently on Mitsuha's comment, wondering if she's right. To him, romance feels pointless, and he'd rather spend his time alone, avoiding unnecessary complications. The scene shifts humorously to both of them sipping juice through straws in complete silence. Mitsuha, exasperated, breaks the silence. Okay, this is just who you are, Koto." As they drink, Mitsuha starts observing Narumi with curiosity, noting how distant and stoic he always seems. She teases him again, asking if he could at least show some reaction to all the teasing. Narumi stares back at her, visibly annoyed but silent. Mitsuha continues to poke fun at him, saying it's no wonder he's earned the nickname Pedroso, causing Narumi to sigh in frustration. The moment ends with a brief but telling exchange of glances. Mitsuha smiles slightly, acknowledging Narumi's odd personality but thinking to herself that it's probably best not to get too involved with him. Narumi, Meanwhile, feels a little unsettled by her smile but remains speechless as she walks away. Left alone, he reflects quietly on everything that just happened. Mitsuha and Mocha are walking down the stairs, chatting happily, when disaster strikes. Distracted by her phone, Mitsuha loses her balance and stumbles forward. The scene freezes as she flails, desperately trying to grab onto something. Narumi, unfortunately standing in the line of fire, barely has time to realize what's happening. The inevitable happens. Mitsuha crashes into Narumi, and they tumble down the stairs in an over-the-top, comical fashion. Mitsuha, blushing furiously, tries to recover, muttering that she thought she was going to die. Narumi lies on the floor, utterly flattened and too dazed to comprehend the chaos. Still processing the incident, Narumi looks at Mitsuha and notices something familiar, the small star. A beauty mark he's seen before. In shock, he mutters the name Ifa, as if connecting the dots. Mitsuha, startled and confused, turns to him, asking, "Huh? What are you talking about?" The awkward tension between them lingers as they sit on the stairs, both thoroughly embarrassed. The situation escalates when their classmates arrive to witness the aftermath. One of them shouts teasingly, "You saw her underwear, didn't you?" Mitsuha, humiliated, starts flailing again, while Narumi, panicked, desperately denies everything. Chaos ensues as Mitsuha nearly smothers him in her attempts to explain herself, while their friends laugh at the ridiculous scene. Later, in the nurse's office, Narumi lies on a bed, looking like he's been through a war. Mitsuha stands nearby, still flustered as she replays the events in her mind. She wonders why Narumi mentioned the name Ifa, and fears that he might be one of her online followers. If that's true, things could get complicated. Meanwhile, Narumi pretends to sleep but internally spirals into panic, unsure how to face Mitsuha again. In the nurse's office, Narumi mumbles Ifa in his sleep. Mitsuha freezes, eyes widening in shock. He knows. Panic washes over her face as she stares at Narumi, realizing her secret might have been exposed. Narumi jolts awake to Mitsuha shaking him violently, demanding answers. "You know about Ifa, don't you?" Still groggy and confused, Narumi stammers, trying to dodge the confrontation. Mitsuha, frustrated, refuses to let him escape, leading to a chaotic, almost comedic argument. Mitsuha presses Narumi further, listing all the clues: the mole on her neck, the photos, the sacred places. Q laughs. Narumi, slowly piecing it together, panics internally. It can't be. Mitsuha is? He realizes that Mitsuha is the elusive Ifa. The focus zooms in on Mitsuha as she stares him down. Narumi, his face a mix of horror and embarrassment, mentally reviews all the clues. She has a mole on her neck, and, in the sacred places? His thoughts spiral out of control, while Mitsuha realizes there's no hiding anymore. Mitsuha stands tall, glaring at Narumi with intensity. She is EFA. The moment is heavy with tension and revelation. Narumi, frozen in shock, can only stare at her wide-eyed, his brain short-circuiting. Narumi's ridiculous, shocked expression throws Mitsuha off. Why is he making that face? She thinks. Meanwhile, Narumi is still frozen, unable to process the situation as the tension between them reaches its peak. Things escalate awkwardly as Mitsuha realizes how close she is to Narumi. She starts questioning herself, wondering why the situation is making her so flustered. Narumi, on the other hand, struggles to find a safe place to look, internally panicking. This is bad, really bad. Mitsuha notices Narumi's phone still in his hand, camera active. Furious, she accuses him. "Are you trying to take a picture?" Narumi freaks out, denying it frantically. Mitsuha warns him that if he doesn't stop acting weird, she'll end things right here, further escalating the chaos. In an unexpected twist, Mitsuha stumbles again, falling straight onto Narumi. The scene freezes as their faces are inches apart, creating a moment of embarrassing tension. Narumi's phone accidentally snaps a photo, making the absurd situation even worse. Outside the room, a staff member calls for the teacher, reporting another issue. The sound of footsteps grows closer, signaling someone is about to enter the nurse's office and catch them in a very compromising position. The tension reaches its climax. Mitsuha finds Narumi after the incident, concerned about him. She asks if he's okay, but immediately notices his awkward behavior. Narumi, blushing and clearly uncomfortable, tries to play it off. Mitsuha, puzzled, asks why his face is so red, which only makes things worse for him. Narumi wakes up at home the next day, curled up in bed, spiraling into panic. What just happened? Was I dreaming? He questions how his peaceful high school life fell apart so quickly and struggles to process everything. In his panic, Narumi checks his phone and sees something shocking. A compromising photo of Mitsuha in costume, probably taken during the earlier chaos. What's going to happen to my high school life? His horrified expression highlights his desperation. Cut to Mitsuha happily dressed in a detailed costume, thanking Narumi for helping her. She's clearly thrilled with the results, while Narumi stares at her in disbelief. Mitsuha cheerfully comments that she never thought someone would help her with her costumes, leaving Narumi completely bewildered. Mitsuha suddenly pulls a funny and charming face, teasing Narumi to keep helping her. Her playfulness leaves Narumi speechless, his only reaction being a shocked. Her light-hearted demeanor contrasts hilariously with his growing anxiety. A flashback shows Mitsuha convincing Narumi to help her with costumes for her IFA photos. Despite his hesitation, Narumi reluctantly agrees, unable to refuse her request. As Mitsuha clasps his hands, he feels an awkward warmth and thinks, "There's no way I can say no to Ifa-san." Narumi reflects on how ridiculous the situation has become. He, the stone-faced guy, is now Mitsuha's secret accomplice for her photo shoots. He recalls how she threatened him with an angelic smile and realizes how powerless he is in this position. Meanwhile, Mitsuha seems to be having the time of her life. Mitsuha suddenly invites Narumi to go out after school, smiling brightly. "Let's go for a walk," she says cheerfully. Narumi, still flustered, asks where they're going, completely lost about her intentions. The two walk together through a bustling part of town. Narumi spirals into panic. After school? Alone with a girl? Is this a date? His thoughts race as he imagines the consequences, especially given Mitsuha's popularity and her secret as Ifa. Mitsuha notices Narumi's distraction and snaps at him. "Are you even listening to me?" She sips her drink casually, continuing to discuss her ideas. Narumi, still overwhelmed, tries to focus, but can't help but notice how much he enjoys seeing this side of her. A more genuine and carefree Mitsuha. Mitsuha walks beside Narumi, smiling confidently. She teases him, saying he should talk more so people can understand him better. Narumi, caught off guard, blushes and tries to deny it. Mitsuha laughs, playfully patting his head as if to say he's too serious for his own good. At a cafe, Mitsuha casually mentions that she actually likes Narumi's quiet, stoic demeanor. She tells him he makes her feel comfortable, as though she can be herself around him. Narumi, shocked and flustered, thinks to himself, "What is happening?" The two arrive at a strange location, a store filled with elaborate costumes and clothes. Narumi, panicking, asks what they're doing there. Mitsuha excitedly reveals her plans for her next IFA photo shoot, declaring that Narumi will be her assistant. Narumi, overwhelmed, wonders how his life ended up like this. Mitsuha appears in a vibrant outfit, striking an exaggerated pose. "Ta-da!" she exclaims. Narumi, completely stunned, is left speechless. Mitsuha, amused, says he has to help her pick the perfect outfit, leaving Narumi red-faced and nervous. Mitsuha changes into multiple outfits, each one more eye-catching than the last. She strikes playful poses, clearly enjoying herself. Narumi, trying not to look directly, feels utterly embarrassed. Meanwhile, the store staff watch from afar, laughing and commenting on how cute the two of them are together. As Mitsuha changes into another outfit, Narumi notices a familiar image on the floor, a costume he's seen before in one of Ifa's posts. Realization strikes him like lightning. So, it really was her? Mitsuha calls out to him, breaking his train of thought. Mitsuha sits next to Narumi and, for the first time, speaks more seriously. She confesses that, despite her popularity and perfect social life, she often feels lonely. Narumi is surprised to see this vulnerable side of her. Mitsuha adds that maybe he's one of the few people who might understand her. Suddenly, Mitsuha grabs Narumi's hand and pulls him forward, saying there's something she wants to show him. Narumi's heart pounds in his chest as he stumbles along, asking, "What?" Mitsuha stops in front of him, now wearing an elegant, almost magical outfit. She looks straight into his eyes and asks softly but seriously, "Do you want to know?" The atmosphere grows tense, leaving Narumi completely frozen. The scene peaks as Mitsuha leans closer, her expression unreadable. Narumi, flustered and panicking, stammers incoherently while trying to look anywhere but at her. The tension is almost unbearable, making the situation awkward yet undeniably impactful. Mitsuha continues snapping photos of Narumi, who sits frozen on the floor, unable to react. She teases him, "Can you help me take one more photo?" Narumi stares blankly, his mind racing as he wonders how his life spiraled into this chaos. Narumi starts to sweat nervously as Mitsuha mentions something about her private areas. His face contorts in panic as he stammers incoherently. Mitsuha, standing confidently, declares that he'll help her with photos from now on. Narumi's internal scream is palpable. Mitsuha gives Narumi an intense, almost teasing look and says, "I'll tell you something about Ifa." Suspense builds as Narumi holds his breath, his eyes wide. Mitsuha, striking a dramatic pose, appears as though she's about to drop the biggest revelation yet. The next day, Mitsuha chats with her friends, looking far too cheerful. Her friends notice and start teasing her, asking if something happened. Mitsuha, trying to play it cool, says it's just about her photo shoot. But her flushed face says otherwise. At school, Mitsuha smiles to herself while looking at her phone. Clearly thinking about Narumi, she gets distracted and nearly bumps into someone. Her friend shouts, "Kodo, pay attention," as she rushes off, still grinning like a fool. Alone in the gym, Mitsuha reflects on her feelings. "I can't forget that feeling, my heart racing." She tries to brush it off but can't help but smile. Meanwhile, Narumi is elsewhere, staring blankly as he struggles with his own confusion. Mitsuha spots Narumi watching her from afar and reacts with an exaggerated yell, startling him. Narumi tries to flee, but Mitsuha gives chase, shouting, "Hey, get back here!" The scene turns into a comedic game of cat and mouse. The chase ends when they both accidentally get locked in a storage room. Realizing their predicament, they simultaneously exclaim, "We're stuck!" Mitsuha glares at Narumi accusingly, and he snaps, "This isn't my fault." As Mitsuha searches for a way out, she playfully blames Narumi for the situation. Narumi grumbles, frustrated. Mitsuha notices his flustered state and smirks mischievously, clearly enjoying his discomfort. Mitsuha steps closer to Narumi with a teasing smile. "Are you nervous, Pedroso?" she asks provocatively. Narumi's face turns crimson as he spirals into panic, while Mitsuha giggles, enjoying every second of his awkwardness. The scene ends with the two still stuck, the tension between them unmistakably growing. Narumi desperately tries to escape, but Mitsuha holds him back firmly, making the situation even more awkward. He yells for help, panicking internally about how bad this looks. Mitsuha, however, remains calm and determined. This could be the perfect opportunity, she thinks, while Narumi's mind spirals. Mitsuha, sitting suggestively, asks Narumi to take natural-looking photos. Narumi panics, not knowing what to do. Mitsuha casually lifts her phone, ready to snap a picture, while Narumi screams, "Wait!" The moment is a chaotic mix of comedy and tension. With a serious expression, Mitsuha asks why he's so reluctant. Narumi, cornered, can't come up with a good answer. "Do you want to help me or not?" she presses. Defeated, Narumi reluctantly picks up the phone, muttering internally, "Why does this always happen to me?" As Narumi struggles to maintain his composure, Mitsuha quietly reflects on her own feelings. "Why does this make me so nervous?" She glances at Narumi, her heart pounding faster, while trying to make sense of her own actions. Narumi trembles as he tries to take the photos, visibly overwhelmed. Mitsuha notices his nervousness and smirks to herself. He's shaking? That's kind of cute. As he struggles to steady the camera, Mitsuha enjoys the unusual situation. The tension spikes when Mitsuha unintentionally lifts her shirt too high while adjusting her pose. Narumi, horrified, nearly drops the phone. "What are you doing?" he exclaims, face burning red. Mitsuha, equally flustered, tries to laugh it off. "Ah, that was nothing." Narumi, shaking and wide-eyed, realizes Mitsuha is clearly at her limit. She looks at him, cheeks flushed, and murmurs, "I don't know what I'm doing either." To Narumi, the chaos is unbearable. Does she even realize what this looks like to me? He thinks, close to fainting. Mitsuha attempts to regain control, talking about the purpose of the photos. As she explains, she absent-mindedly lifts her shirt again to adjust something. Narumi, completely overwhelmed, shuts down mentally, unable to process what's happening. Narumi, still trembling, holds the phone as Mitsuha poses one last time. "Just one more photo, and we're done," she says confidently. Narumi, struggling with the tension, nearly drops the phone. The absurdity of the moment is almost too much for him. Finally, Mitsuha relaxes and thanks Narumi sincerely, surprising him. He stammers incoherently, trying to process what just happened. Mitsuha, noticing his flustered state, chuckles softly and teases, "You really are Pedroso?" Narumi, still frozen, can only stare blankly as the scene ends. Kodo and Hakobe face each other in a tense moment at school. Kodo approaches while classmates watch curiously. The situation seems funny to others, but Hakobe is clearly uncomfortable with the attention. Kodo grabs her phone and snaps a picture of Hakobe's face, leaving him speechless. She seems to enjoy his reactions, but Hakobe grows more confused with the situation. Hakobe blushes as Kodo mentions they are friends. The moment turns lighter, but something in Kodo's gaze hints that she might be starting to see Hakobe differently. Out of nowhere, Kodo announces they're going to have a strategic date, catching Hakobe completely off guard. He's baffled and doesn't know how to respond, but she drags him along. Kodo brings Hakobe to her house. He freezes upon realizing where he is, while she acts completely casual. Hakobe struggles to process the situation. Upon entering Mitsuha Kodo's room, Hakobe panics. He tries to hide his nervousness, while Kodo also seems oddly uneasy. The tension escalates. Hakobe scans the room as his mind races. Being in a girl's room makes him anxious, while Kodo appears to be trying to calm herself down on the other side. Kodo tries to mask her nervousness as she climbs the stairs, but it's clear the situation affects her too. Meanwhile, Hakobe remains confused and tense, unsure of how to act. Hakobe faces the surreal nature of the environment. His mind reflects on the meaning of the situation, while Kodo, hiding her own emotions, tries to look carefree. Kodo and Hakobe share a look for a moment. The atmosphere peaks with discomfort, but something unspoken lingers in the air. Kodo asks something seriously, catching Hakobe off guard. Kodo stands confidently, dressed in an oversized shirt and short skirt, with a challenging expression. She's not joking when she says they're about to start something important. Meanwhile, he's stunned, clearly not understanding what's happening as she suggests something completely unexpected. Kodo proudly shows her phone with the photos she posts online, talking about how she sees it as a way to inspire and make people happy. The boy, however, looks overwhelmed by her intensity and still doesn't quite understand the situation. Sitting in the kitchen, he asks why she's so dedicated to these photos. She explains that this passion isn't just a recent hobby, but something she's always wanted to use to express herself. He's clearly curious about what motivates her so deeply. Kodo shares how, as a child, she didn't have many friends and was often seen as distant. Social media became her way to connect, and eventually, she found her place as an online star. The boy starts to grasp what this journey truly means to her. She reveals a photo of an influencer named Sakura-san, who dominated social media for a time. Kodo deeply admires her and admits Sakura was her inspiration. However, Sakura mysteriously disappeared, leaving a significant impact. With sparkling eyes, Koto declares that she wants to be like Ifa, another inspiring persona. She dreams of being admired in the same way and showing the world how amazing she is. The boy watches, now starting to understand how serious her goals are. He confirms that he believes in her and her dreams. Koto, visibly touched, says he's the first person to truly believe in her. The scene feels like a significant moment between the two of them. Koto stands up and announces she wants to study. Her tone and demeanor are mysterious, and he grows nervous about what's coming next. Before anything else happens, they hear voices. Her parents have returned home. The sudden return of her parents causes panic. Koto and the boy scramble to come up with an excuse. The atmosphere is chaotic as they try to avoid any misunderstandings, but it's clear the situation is only getting more complicated. Koto tries to play it off, but her parents remain suspicious. The boy, however, is clearly terrified by the idea of being caught in a girl's room. The scene ends with him desperately trying to find a way out without making things worse. Back in the room, Mitsuha's father arrives from a trip, instantly creating a tense atmosphere. Pedroso panics even more when Mitsuha's mother joins in. To make things worse, something odd falls from the ceiling onto him. As he struggles to escape, the father demands to know what's going on. Pedroso, with no options, grows even more flustered. Pedroso discovers an old-school photo of Mitsuha. She looks completely different, wearing glasses and a modest style. He's amazed by how much she's changed and thinks about how incredible she's become. But noises outside startle him. He realizes he might be in trouble. Mitsuha shows up and says she'll take Pedroso to meet her mother. Nervously, he tries to play it cool and quickly escapes to hide. Meanwhile, Mitsuha notices how rattled he looks and even apologizes for making things so awkward. Pedroso, now outside, breathes a sigh of relief. Back in her room, Mitsuha sits alone and picks up a photo album labeled Bonds. She smiles warmly, reflecting on what Pedroso must have seen. She realizes he might have come across her old memories and wonders if he now sees her in a different light. Alright guys, that wraps up the story so far. This manga currently has only 5 chapters available, but if you want us to keep covering it as it continues, let us know by liking this video and leaving a comment down below. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you're the first to know when we drop more updates. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care and keep reading.